Hello, everybody. Welcome to Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of rye, the show of skateboarding, the show of music again. Today we get into some of those Detroit bands like the White Stripes, Proto Martyr. Today's guest is Troy Kooper of Kooper Family Rye, distilled out there in Dripping Springs, Texas, along the same, I'm going to dub it, the Texan version of Portland's Distillery Row, out there with the Treaty Oak Ranch, Revolution Spirits, and now Kooper Family Rye. We talk a lot, Troy and I, about a lot of different things. He's really cool, really great guy. We talk about design, we talk about bands, we talk about his fondness for rye whiskey in particular, and why they determined to do just a rye whiskey. I've had a sip of it now and been able to sample it, although at the time when we were chatting I hadn't had a chance yet, but he so wonderfully brought a bottle as an early Christmas gift for me, and I got to tell you, it's nice and bright, floral, and it's exactly what you'd want a rye whiskey to be. So without further ado, let's give a listen to my interview with Troy Kooper.
I've always liked whiskey. Me and my dad and my grandpa and stuff would soak it up.
Were they in the military at all?
No, like my dad was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Like after he was actually weird timing. He was getting out of the Air Force, so after World War II, obviously you're probably same age as me, but as he was getting out, they like got him and his whatever they call him, little platoon or whatever together.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, look, we're giving big time incentives, man. We have this little thing going on in a little country called Vietnam.
Yeah.
You would just would teach you how to fly helicopters. Y'all will drop in.
Selling it heavy,
and my
right?
dad was like,
I'm not going down there.
No way.
That's
I had
a
an
stalemate.
uncle, my Uncle Bob, he got drafted and he was like, and the rules were like, you didn't have to go if you were married. So he got married.
Just
and 2 years later, they changed it. They're like, okay, you don't have to go if you have a kid. So he has a kid.
Wow.
Then they're like, okay, everyone has to go. And he just dodged
man.
draft. He went to prison.
Did he
was like,
really?
I'm not going to fight. I'm not fighting for you.
That's a whole nother thing. I think we've gained a lot of perspective on it now. And it
But
seems
back
like
then, yeah.
it was imagine like the social upheaval where you've got college kids that are getting shot at like Kent and just because they're protesting the war. You got people fighting a war that you can't really win. It's like us stepping into Russia and trying to adapt to that terrain and have it be to our advantage, which there's no way you can fight the jungle. We don't have a jungle.
Right.
There's no fucking way.
And we don't we don't fight that way.
Yeah.
Because the Vietnamese were like, look, we're small. We don't have many people. We're not giving up our country.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that dog in a corner mentality. How do you like strategize for that at West Point? They're gonna, if we do this, sir, they're gonna do this.
There's
these
no
guys.
Way. There's no way to write a consistent thesis as to what people will do when they're backed in a corner. Anybody.
All the rules go out the window, right?
Totally
it's
do.
chaos.
If it's someone that you love, someone you're close to, your parents, put in the worst scenario of which they have to kind of fend for their life in a sense, which is a god awful thought. But we turn to different people because we got to survive.
Look at the people at 9/11 jumping.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Like that's a deep look into the psychological mind of a human being, right? And that's the same thing. They're backed in a corner. They're like, I might be able to survive this, but not the fire. Like that's where I remember, and still to this day, when you think about the people jumping, that's the hardcore. It was right in our face. We were just watching those people fly out. Versus like, oh, the building fell down. Oh, there were people in there. Yeah, but I didn't see them.
Sure, it's not as graphic in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But those people jumping is like, that's still that's
so
crazy.
Right. Yeah.
And who would have guessed that, right?
I know.
Like, yeah.
You can't even write. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, as they say.
That's right.
Like,
that's the beauty of. Yeah.
It's really, really intense. But so you kind of going back a little bit. So we've kind of touch and go and kind of talked, and you got into this whiskey business. I'm in the business as well, and I've seen more and more people talking about the rye. But when you were growing up, were you from Austin originally?
No.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up, so I was born in Arizona.
Oh, cool. Where about?
In Mesa, Arizona.
Mesa, man. I used to live in Scottsdale.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And my brother was born in Scottsdale.
No kidding.
My other brother was born in Prescott.
Yeah.
So, but we were Iowans who my dad and my mom were out selling Arizona land, which is funny because they talk about how, back then there was no reason to, but it's like they're selling this land out in the middle of Arizona. Yeah. But now you look at Phoenix, right?
Oh, that's massive.
The biggest sprawl. Yeah. One of the biggest sprawls I've ever seen. And so yeah, they were out there selling. They left Iowa and went out to Arizona to sell land.
Like in Phoenix proper?
Phoenix and Prescott Valley.
Yeah,
they kind of developed Prescott Valley.
Yeah, really beautiful area.
So yeah, they were Iowans. I lived in Iowa for a little while after Arizona. And then my mom, her big dream, when her and my father split, was she wanted to live in San Francisco. Yeah. So she took us out there.
How old were you when your folks split?
I was 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So some damage, but
my brother's got the damage.
It. Yeah.
I was like,
is it older brother? 2
older brothers. Yeah. So I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. I didn't notice it as much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're too young. You're just absorbing it all.
Yeah, exactly. Where my brother's definitely like one of my brothers still tries to have a relationship with my dad, and that's a whole nother story. Sure. My dad's kind of like when people ask about my dad, I say, that song, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, exactly describes him.
No kidding.
Yeah, he got into like a lot of religion and stuff as this kind of like con man tool to never work. Like just yeah.
What is it? Paper Moon? Is that the movie I'm thinking where Ryan O'Neal he's a grifter and doing all these kind of pranks and stuff? It's an old movie.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's good. It's about that. It's about grifting. There's a Simpsons episode about grifting. Right?
Love grifting. Yeah, I'm into it. But is he? So yeah, like like later on, years later, we keep finding these illegitimate half brothers, like from my dad and stuff. Crazy. Yeah,
did he stay in Arizona or Iowa?
He's actually in Prescott Valley right now. Okay. He went all over. He was like a missionary in Guatemala for a while.
Really?
Just like he just like would never have a job.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, what else can I do? He's like, I'll go preach Jesus over here.
Yeah.
And he never, his lifestyle was never matched the preaching. It's
so strange. Well, I mean, that obviously is a whole hour dedicated to it unto itself, of which someone is practicing not what they preach.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we know the oldest profession in the world, right? Yeah. What's the oldest con?
The oldest wow.
So, I don't know.
I've never framed it like that. It is precisely, and we're implying here what the oldest con is. But the oldest con ever committed by man. That's very true.
It works like a charm. Yeah. Still works today to this day.
Great marketing model.
Absolutely. Tax-free dollars, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to. I'm not even going to get down that path. But so you and your 2 brothers, your mom head to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And about this when you were 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that experience like? Which is completely different than.
So we moved into like Section 8 housing. I grew up in Section 8 housing. Latchkey kid. Yeah. My brother's watching me basically. It was, I don't want to paint it.
No, but see, you probably made the best of it, right? Because our reality is like you can be optimistic about it, or you can be pessimistic.
Well, I had fun.
Exactly.
What's the swearing rule on this?
Fucking do it. Just say what you want to say.
I had a shitload of fun. In order to live in the apartment complex I grew up in, you had to have kids. So I just walk out my door and there's 50 kids at least to play with. So I was never really bored. Definitely got exposed to a lot of shit early that I wish I didn't.
And now I have children. Drugs and stuff? Or?
Sure, drugs. Yeah. I remember my my cousin, her boyfriend, this guy, his name was Rudy. I remember I was probably 8 years old, and my cousin was watching me, and she was maybe 16 or something, and to get rid of me, right?
Okay.
So he could be with my sister, he gave me like his pipe.
What?
Yeah.
Did you know what to do with it?
Not really. He's telling me, he's like, I forget what he was saying. He's like, if you like scrape this a little bit, you'll get some resin, and then you just, I'm like in the backyard, like 8 years old. I still remember that taste. That's from a very young age. So stuff like that. I remember one time some kid had a porn movie on, and all the kids were lined up looking at that. I was probably 7.
But that's
my God.
If you think about that, like it happened a little bit later for me because we moved around a lot, but people don't do that now because the internet has changed it. there was, I don't know how to describe it, and I don't know the best way to articulate it, but there's something ritualistic in a healthy way, God forbid I say this, of dudes at a young age kind of understanding and like watching a porno.
Sure.
I don't know why, but it seems a lot more healthy and social and outgoing than it does to lock yourself into a bathroom and on your phone and look at porno that way, you know?
Sure, it's almost a rite of passage.
Exactly. And
in our like latchkey world, at least in that time,
sure.
is
because you're gonna see it somewhere. So is it going to be with a group of people where you all can kind of at least ask questions and like go, ugh?
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Or are you going to just isolate yourself and learn nothing? Or
and
make
just be so scared.
Yeah,
like seven,
yeah.
But yeah, look at I have a son. He's 8, and I just think, my God, I am
so different.
Yeah, like you have no idea.
Yeah.
I remember we had he like left his bike at the park one day, and like, oh man, you left your bike at the park yesterday. Well, let's go over and look. Maybe it's there. Yeah. Boom, it's there.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I'm like, dude, you have no idea. My neighborhood. I remember getting a bike for my birthday once and rode it to the store.
Yeah.
Gone.
Dude, same thing.
Left it outside.
At my Huffy, my red Huffy.
Yeah, it was white and red. It was like a white frame with little, I
just went to buy some Now and Later, if I remember.
Gone. Walked in the store. Gone.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, I'm never buying you a bike again.
My mom still brings it up. He's like, remember when you lost your bike?
Yeah, remember when you got your bike stolen? It's like, I don't remember getting a chain or a lock with that bike. What do you want me,
It's so funny. Just because it's different because, you're out exploring. I was out exploring at like what is the equivalent outside of Detroit of a 7-Eleven. And then I just leave the bike out and get stolen. And it's like, I don't know. That's a rite of passage too. There's all this kind of thing I don't know.
How else are you going to learn that?
Exactly.
No one's going to be like, and make sure when you go to the store, you're naive. That's the thing I realize is looking at my son too, is even back then being exposed to so much shit, but still being so naive. Yeah. Right? It's this innocence mixed with this, and I think that paints who you are, who you become as an adult.
Do you think it makes you more mature, like at an earlier age, to be exposed to worldly things?
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. I think it's a balance. I'm seeing this now, like with my own son. Is I wish it does make you more mature, but the flip side of that is you're not a kid as long.
Yeah.
And I remember when we moved here, someone said, "Beauty of Austin is your kids get to stay kids longer."
Yeah.
And it's true, like so.
Is that's really interesting because
there's no rush to grow up here. Yeah, I mean, compared to places to a lot of other cities out there, right?
No, that's a good point because it's safe here. It's easy. People are nice,
People are nice to you as a kid, right?
Sure.
Like where I grew up, your people treated you shitty as a kid, right? So you had to like act mature, or act older. But here it's like perfectly natural. Why? Yeah. Of course you're a kid.
Do you think that maybe it stunts the maturity of people, like when they get into their late teens and things? Because it seems like
could be sure.
You talk to somebody like, "How old are you?" 25. Like, whoa, really? I could have sworn you were 17. Like, it's strange that that's changed too.
That's why I think in San Francisco, I lived there for a few years. So I work in advertising, and there it was like a city filled. And this is my thing. Unfortunately, I rant too often about San Francisco. I know people love it, but it was like a bunch of 35-year-old people all acting like they're 21. Like, this is the first time you've been to the bar, I'm gonna get wasted. Like, you're 35.
You look out of place, bro.
And it's like, and I always thought it was like, because you guys have been like studying through high school and college. Yeah. Where I was like, just straight to hanging out.
The fun part, yeah.
So now you're getting to loosen up. You're 35 in your career, and you're like, oh my God.
It's almost like just a little bit too late. Some of us still look younger, so it's okay for us. But some of us look older. Sure. 35.
Yeah.
For some reason, people in Austin look pretty young to me. But if you go to like Dallas,
they look older.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. It could just be the healthiness and stuff,
Yeah, I had a friend who moved here about a year and a half ago, and him and his wife both just like dropped 20 pounds. They're like, I don't know what it is, and I'm like, there's something here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a fully. I mean, it's a healthier lifestyle, I know, but it's not this conscious, like, I moved to Austin, I start eating well.
Right.
No,
it's not. It's
you just have more shit to do. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
You know?
But that's great for them. Shit.
Totally, right?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
You're not complaining, are you? You know?
Give me those 20 pounds back. I'll eat those back, you son of a bitch. What
Keep your tacos. Give me back my pounds.
So you said you were only in San Francisco then for a couple years?
Yeah, we lived there. Oh, no. So my mom moved, tried to get to San Francisco and got us. And then back then, she always says this too. Like, back then, rental properties could just deny you outright for having kids.
That's so
just
strange.
like in 70. So this would be 1976.
Yeah.
Deny you for having kids. So she's like, so I worked my way and all the way down the peninsula, and we ended up in this small town called, or not a small town, it's a suburb of San Jose.
Yeah.
Called Campbell.
Yeah.
So that's where
I know. Oh, that's cool. It's a little bit more mellow, a little bit more suburban, right?
Sure. It was kind of like right on the other side of the mountains was Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
So it had this good vibe of kind of like, it was a lot like Dazed and Confused. It was like this kind of like with skateboarding.
Yeah.
Involved, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's good. That's good.
So it had that
less Aerosmith, more Bad Brains.
Yeah, and that's when it got good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then of course, in the 90s and stuff, gangs and that shit.
Was that not like a thing before the 90s?
Well, it went from
it's gotta be
I always say like
something.
when I started high school, it was like Fast Times.
Yeah.
And then by the time I got out, like senior year, it was like Colors.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Yeah, this is crap. It was,
Yeah,
so.
it's strange. So what kind of trouble were you getting into in high school? Because you said, you were talking, you said you record music. It looks like you play guitar and you sing and all.
I grew up skateboarding. Yeah. I grew up skateboarding and playing in bands.
Anything that did that ever become the thing that you had to do and that you wanted to tour and make a career of it?
Yeah, well, first skateboarding. I still to this day, the only thing that keeps me from skateboarding is the distillery, and I don't want to break my wrist, and then I can't do work.
Stuff.
But I still love skateboarding. It's definitely in my heart. I do it as much as I can.
Yeah.
And then music wise, I with touring and stuff was brilliant. It was great, but I recognized out there that it'll kill you. It will kill you.
It can, man. Yeah.
So
especially because so. Are we talking like mid 80s then when you be playing?
No, by the time I was like touring in bands, it would be like I don't know, 98
to like
2004 or something.
Different scene
like that.
then for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was after all the grunge and 90s stuff. When I was a kid, it was just local playing and stuff like that.
But it must have been a cool time though then, playing local in California. I mean, because that would have been at least like mid to late 80s. There's a lot of cool stuff.
It was. It just with San Jose. It's just there's no culture there.
Yeah.
So San Jose is funny when I see all the cranes out around Austin. It reminds me a lot of San Jose
as it was kind of building
because it just boom exploded all of a sudden. But there's just no scene there. There was no culture for them to preserve as they built, and so whatever there was there just got buried. So there was no way out. And I still know tons of people there that play in bands and stuff. And
but you can't
nowhere to go.
Almost. Literally can't make it past the buildings. It's an interesting metaphor.
And
builds you in there.
There's no venues. I mean, that's the thing about Austin. The venue.
So many venues.
I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like growing up in the town where I played music, it was like 6 venues. That's it. 6.
Yeah, in a big town too.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
A lot of people in San Jose.
And then if the one got big enough and was actually doing well, they would shut it down for some weird.
Really?
Yeah, it was just really
strange.
weird. Yeah. So.
But so love the skateboarding, love the music. Did you end up having aspirations for college and stuff when you were getting out of high school? Nah,
never.
fuck it.
I dropped out of my sophomore year.
Oh, really?
No, my junior year, then my senior year. Then I saw my friends graduate and was like, kind of got jealous. I'm like, fuck that, those dummies can't graduate, and I'm not going to graduate. So I went back for a 5th year. You
graduated out of spite. Who does that shit?
Well, I tried to. I went back my 5th year, and that, that's not fun. Like all the like the junior, the girls that were juniors when I was a senior, right, are now seniors and laughing at me for still being there. But I took it very seriously. But by that time, like I said, that was around 90, 91.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fighting at my school. There was always fighting where I grew up, but
is it like a socioeconomic tension? Is it racial tension?
I think it was just poor kids, poor latchkey kids, aggressive, angry kids.
Nothing to lose.
Right. And so it's just like, and then towards the 90s, everyone's getting to be tough guys, so anyway, I ended up getting kicked out of high school that 5th year for fighting.
Did you win?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
It was a one punch fight.
Oh yeah,
one of the very few. I'm a small guy, so but yeah. So they kicked me right out. They were like,
shit.
"You're out. Don't come back." I'm like, try to go to another high school. They wouldn't take me, and I wasn't a bad kid at all. You know? But yeah. So no aspirations for college or anything like that. I got into. I was working in, warehouses, driving forklifts, and doing all that stuff, and I saw an ad for graphic design. I always drew as a kid and was really artistic or whatever, but there wasn't really an outlet. But then as websites and video games,
and being so close to Silicon Valley,
sure. So there was tons of opportunity there with that kind of stuff. So I went and took a little 18-month course at a place called Masters Institute, which then went out of and then they got a business. Real familiar, so.
Can you draw a rabbit? Well, then you're cut out to be the best. Yeah.
But I was, I took to Photoshop pretty well and just took that from there. You know? And that's the only kind of high, education.
Higher education.
Yeah. Which was, ironic. It was not very high at all. It was like a money grubbing. It was another con,
Sure.
It's like, come in.
But interestingly enough, like it somehow catered to your talents and helped you get better.
And helped me,
You got a gig, right?
And took it from there,
Yeah.
I was working in the warehouse at Lockheed Martin, and they found out that I was doing graphic design, and they're like, "Oh, we have a graphic design department over here," so they let me work half-time.
Oh, that's
so I kind of eased in.
Really cool.
Yeah, it really helped out. The first job is typically the hardest
with
graphic design and stuff. So yeah, that's what I did. I kind of lucked into that, and then my wife Michelle, she's my partner in the whiskey.
Yeah.
She was another one. She got kicked out of high school. She was in like a really nice private school called MIDI, which turns out.
Where is that? Is that in California too?
Yeah, that's in San Jose. But she got kicked out for having bad grades, but then later went to community college, did really well, and ended up getting like a Gates scholarship, full ride.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then that's where I got to go because I would just go with her.
Yeah.
Like, she went to, she did her undergraduate at Berkeley.
Wow.
And then she got admitted to Cal.
No kidding.
I'm sorry, not Cal. Columbia.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it's like, so I'm like, well, I'm going to go with you.
You're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you.
Yeah.
So she has all the education. She's a, Ivy League scholar, XYZ, you know what I mean? But both of us came from, getting kicked out of high school.
That's crazy.
Stuff,
how old were you guys met?
I was 24, I think.
Yeah. Were you working at Lockheed then?
I was, yeah.
Cool.
I remember talking to the older guys, like the 30-year-old dudes back then.
About
her.
Dudes.
Yeah, the older guys for advice and stuff, yeah. So I remember her. I remember very specifically working there and talking to her and stuff.
Yeah, so she worked there too?
No, I would just sneak phone calls or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I had a pager back then. She would like page me.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm having these like '90s flashbacks.
It's great. Yeah.
It was a good time. Got into like a Marilyn Manson and Trent Reznor discussion in one of these conversations the other night. I was like, that was good. I hadn't talked about Marilyn Manson in his prime in a long time. I
mean, where's music gone since then, right? I mean, there's good small stuff, but the internet, like, it definitely exposes you to more, but then it's like paralysis by analysis, right? Now I just go back into my records and listen to old stuff.
Well, it's a great point, and we kind of take a shift into like talking about marketing and stuff. Is that marketing when marketing started, conceptually, the objective was, I'm going to raise awareness about this brand for you, and maybe you're interested, and maybe you'll buy it. We'd like you to buy it. You want some Tide? Here's some Tide. It keeps your clothes white. But now, since, as you mentioned, paralysis, which is a great word for it, we're so super saturated in every single thing that it actually now creates a negative relationship with the brand immediately.
Sure.
Just the sheer surface exposure to any brand. It's like, fuck that. I don't want a Jeep. I tried. I was on like Ain't It Cool News or something, trying to look at a review of a movie. This is like nerdy site, like still 1990s design. Looks like it's from GeoCities or whatever. It's really, really old to throw back to the 90s, And I was like, I want to click on this link, and it kept pop this Jeep. It's like, buy a Jeep. I was like, God, I don't want to. And I went around, moved through the UI. Jeep. Like, stop popping up. I was getting so pissed. So I say every time now when I talk to somebody, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about getting a car. I'm like, do not get a fucking Jeep.
Don't get a Jeep. Yeah.
Don't get a Jeep.
Whatever you do. Yeah, it's like I used to not care about you.
Yeah.
Now I have negative feelings towards you.
Would have been way better to just have a nice, kind of soft, just a real easy going, add maybe animation in the background, minimal real estate. Like, you're just kind of doing your thing. But so
less intrusive, right? Exactly. I mean, that's the thing is, and that that brings me to why I wanted to get into this business.
Yeah.
You just, after, making ads for so many years, you realize, shit, I just want to make something that makes people happy for once, Like, I don't want to intrude on their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Try to convince them to, right, like, spend money they don't have, to buy things they don't need, to impress people they don't like.
Yeah.
It's hard to put that much time and effort into something that that's all it is.
That's
right?
the whole goal.
It's this it's not even tangible. It's this fake reality that we drive home into people's heads.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really work. Where here, you try to make a good product, it makes people happy.
Yeah.
And then you don't ram it down their fucking throats. You know what I mean?
There's a great quote from George Carlin that he says, it's called an American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. Isn't that fucking amazing?
Yeah.
And I was like, but that's the thing. And like all this stuff, and we don't have, it's not like we're intentionally trying to get into a deep philosophical conversation here, but some things are so ubiquitous you can't just help but pay a little bit of attention to this stuff that like kind of happens. And so whiskey specifically is the true, and I'll say bourbon, rye as well, but whiskey is one of the only art forms to come out of America that is truly American, even though they borrowed some processes from the Scotch and stuff, but Scottish rather. But that's like, it's a pure thing that was made. People sweat over it. It spent time. It's in the seasons. It's moving back and forth, touching barrels in different ways. And then here it is to you. And it's a great feeling to be able to do that. So the question, though, is what is it that drew you to rye whiskey, which is the nice little niche in whiskeys in general?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I started my whiskey adventures with Scotch.
What was the first one that like opened your eyes up?
Glenlivet 18.
Yeah.
In advertising, you go out a lot. Sometimes the office, you can't come up with ideas, so you go to the bar, right?
Yeah,
I would drink, all kinds of different things. But I started drinking, this is a long time ago, but I would drink vodka sodas, a couple limes, 2 limes.
Right.
But I just going through them in like 3 minutes.
It's transactional. It's
so all of a sudden
right?
I'm like, I didn't mean to be drunk. I just wanted to have a drink. So I was like, well, you know what I should do, and what men do is they drink fucking Scotch.
What Lee Marvin does. And the second time I talked about Lee Marvin this week.
So I went out specifically and got some Scotch. And the irony is I got it at Costco. At the end of the holidays, they have all those like boxes with glasses in them.
Sure.
So there was nice tons of those for cheap, great deals, and I got a great deal on that Glenlivet 18, and just started drinking it, you know, and just over and over and over until I really loved it.
Because you got to think about it. You can't, with a good spirit. The reason that it's good is because it involves you. That's why that's why vodka is of no interest to me personally. It's like, what kind of thought?
It's just a vehicle. It's like a potato chip,
That's
right?
Exactly right.
Just put salt on that thing. I just want the salt. I don't really care about the potato.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is totally right.
Yeah.
And so what were you trying to do, or what kinds of things were you trying to taste when you were drinking the Glenlivet?
Well, the first thing I did, and my wife really got me into red wine. We were big time red wine fans for a long time. And just how things open up and, that kind of stuff. I thought that was amazing, and I never knew whiskey to be like that until I started messing with it and pour a little water in, smell it, and just smelling it constantly. Just smell it when it's
one
this.
Of the best parts.
Put this in, smell it when it's like this. Go take it outside and smell it. Take it in the bathroom. I'm joking, but it was just like seeing all the smells that develop and open up, and then how the flavors opened up, and that just like, that was it. It
changed it for you?
Fish hook. Boom.
Yeah.
Now it's a complex thing. And like you said, now I'm involved.
Yeah.
And I actually, and I'm not drinking this to get wasted.
It's a nice side effect.
Right? Yeah,
right?
Yeah. If the night's going well enough, I might end up there.
Yeah,
and that's not so bad. But then, yeah, after a while, I just, that idea of whiskeys, and then I would try other scotches, and then, I tried peated scotches. I wasn't a big fan of too peaty, and that's when I kind of started trying different whiskeys, bourbons. And,
right.
And I liked bourbon a lot. When I got to rye, though, that was it. It just
something about it.
Yeah, it just clicked. It was like that's what if I was gonna make a whiskey, or if you told me everything about whiskey, and then I somehow was able to concoct something and give it back to you, what I think you're talking about, this is it.
Really?
Right.
Do you like the dryness and the spiciness of
I like the spiciness of it. I think, and this is just me, that's the beauty of this business. It's all subjective.
Sure.
So we can have our opinions.
Well, you got to have your vision, right?
Sure. I mean,
because if you don't care, why should I care?
Sure, exactly. I think bourbon, to me, I love it. I love, like we were talking earlier about some Elmer T. Lee.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful.
It's amazing,
stuff,
but
amazing.
I don't want my whiskey to be too sweet.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to be sweet. That's not what I'm looking for in it.
Right.
I know a lot of people are, and I know, of course, you can do the whole history lesson about how, they sweetened it up for people's palates. But now I'm like, well, we're smarter than that,
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be too sweet. I do want it sometimes to be in a cocktail where I can add some sweetener.
Sure.
And that's the other
Gives
thing
you
is
some
that
control, right? You can
Absolutely.
modify it.
And that's what we try to do, with our rye, is make it, really push what is the difference between rye and a bourbon. So, because here we are in America, right?
Yeah.
We can talk about Scotch and Canadian whiskey and Irish whiskey, but here we are in America as bourbon and rye, for me at least.
Yeah.
Well, what is the difference, right? Are there subtle differences, or should there be big differences?
Right,
and we wanted to see the big difference. If you look at like a cornbread versus a rye bread.
Oh, that's a brilliant,
They're so far apart. So why would a bourbon and a rye be very similar at all, right? Like, I don't want to make a sandwich out of my cornbread. I want to use my cornbred to sop up some chili, right? It's a completely different function.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I loved about when I first started drinking rye. I love that difference, that spiciness. But
do you remember which rye kind of introduced you into it?
The first, I do remember. I don't remember the first rye, but I do remember one rye that really changed the way I looked at everything, and that was the Tuttletown Hudson rye.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because it had not been aged for 5 years. It was like aged for 1 year or something.
Oh, it's real punchy and spicier than normal.
So that was a whole different taste experience, right? And to say, oh, well, shit, look at that.
Yeah.
That's completely different than this rye I was tasting over here. And it's also 100% rye, but it's a young one. And then learning that, oh man, it's kind of wide open a little bit here. There is still room to play.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
For years, or rye specifically, so much of it comes from MGP, right, in Indiana. So I can taste 5 different ryes one night, but it's all really the same shit.
Right. Which, and that's something, and real quick, I keep thinking about this. Like, well, if someone was going to buy me a gift of a rye, I'd be like, just give me a rye that the guy, like, actually makes it. That's it, right? That's why I love Heaven Hill. That's why I love Brown Foreman. Like, because those guys there's something about that, because like bullet rye to me it just feels cheap, I mean, it tastes fine.
I love I like it. I think the branding is amazing, right through the roof. Obviously it's a home run.
Diageo's killing it with it,
and even though it's a 95% mash bill of rye, there's a lot of rye in there's no corn, but yet there's a sweetness in it that just reminds me of bourbon. I might be crazy, this is a subjective thing. I've said this to some people and they don't agree with me, but I don't want it tasting like bourbon. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
And there's maybe one night I might, and there's plenty of that. Right?
Sure.
But
you're like saying, I've got this chance to express my vision in a way, and it's got to be the way that I want it. And you don't want it to taste like bourbon, which is totally fine.
Right. And so what can rye do? What if you go 100% rye and you don't use barley or wheat or any of these things to sweeten it? Because really that's what we do. We put wheat in it or corn to sweeten it, to make the flavor. So, well, that makes no sense to me. Why do I want to dampen down the strength of this grain? why am I making rye then? And you know, like a lot of ryes are just check boxes next to the bourbon, right? So I make a bourbon. Oh, what else is there, John? Oh, Johnson. What else we make? Rye. Oh, yeah, make some rye.
Let's make a corn with. Oh, no, not today, John.
Right. So what can you do? Don't make it a derivative of something else. And you know, as we know, historically, it's not a derivative. It came first.
It was its own thing, for sure, yeah.
So let's see what it does. Let's see what that grain can really pull off if you let it do its thing. And so, you know, and also there's already a bullet. There's already a whistle pick. There's already that. It's like music, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny the way we think of things, even though they're subjective. On one end, here's music. If there's a great band, you know, take AC/DC.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let me hear another band sound like them. Yeah. I don't mind if someone takes a cue from them or is influenced, but do not be a derivative of that band.
Yeah.
Because now I don't like you.
Yeah.
But in whiskey, it's like, you know, you taste and you go, you know, people have, or some people, not all people, but a lot of people have this like, well, here's what the perfect whiskey tastes like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where it lands on my scale of perfect whiskey.
Right.
We don't do that with music or art or, you know, what is the perfect painting? What is the perfect song? So
maybe because whiskey is a commodity. Now, I think it's an art, right? And that's why I collect this, because I love the different expressions of it. And of course, I've got favorites, but it's all a type, kind of. It's not really like this specific brand, but it's a commodity. Maybe that's the thing. It's like something you buy in a store, and it's replicated exactly the same way. Whereas an album, although when it's physically manufactured is that way, the songs themselves are not that way.
Sure.
You know, so maybe we just, I think there's a huge problem in agave. I think there's a huge problem in whiskey, where people don't treat it like art, and thusly they're just, like you said, they're just checking off the box.
I agree.
But the guys that are doing it right and that have a passion for it and have a vision for it, like you are doing with the rye, that's what elevates it and really finally makes me feel good about artisanship, not artisanal, but like artisanship and creativity existing and running through the threads of distilling a new company.
Sure.
Because that's like really, really important to me, is to not lose it to the business. Don't ever lose the art because of the business. You got to have a balance.
Well, and that's what I think, whiskey today, or maybe take away some of the craft movement, but the big whiskey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, how do you separate it from the money?
I know.
So there is none. So, and not to indict anyone, but when we're told this is what whiskey tastes like, this is how it's supposed to be done, this 53-gallon barrel, and this XX, that's, you can't take the money factor out of that kind of,
just
propaganda. It's like, well, this is what's cost effective for us. Therefore, we're going to tell you that that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you have arguments over barrel sizes.
Oh,
so,
sure.
If you take we use 15-gallon barrels. So you take a 15-gallon barrel, compare that to a 53, and you say, well, 53 is the way it's done. It's just, this is what makes good whiskey. Okay, well, if a 53 makes great whiskey and a 15 is inferior, then why don't we do 200-gallon barrels?
Right.
Why don't we do 600-gallon barrels? Right? So where's the line at?
Well, there's just, you don't have a good Kooper that can make a 200. I've never seen a 200.
And who has the time? Who wants to wait for whiskey to sit in a 200-gallon barrel? So there's all those factors.
Sure.
But you have to, if you're going to be a thinking man, then you have to add those things into the equation and then figure out what do we really know about whiskey?
Yeah.
And what do we really believe? And that's the other thing, I think, a lot like music as well, is it's hard not to have an opinion on music or on these things, even if you're completely uninformed, right?
Sure. Oh, I know.
You see those, who is it? Is it Jimmy Kimmel does those things where he sends out, right?
Oh, have you heard this band?
Yeah. And because people can't just go, no, I'm uncool, I don't.
Yeah.
And it's the same with whiskey. People can't just be like, you know what? I don't know shit about whiskey, but I like it.
Yeah.
People have to pretend or have to put this face forward that they know it and that they have opinions. And
I think, man, I don't know if I've said this before. So I was, just real briefly, I was at Austin Wine Merchant grabbing a couple bottles I'd ordered. And I was watching this young white blonde woman, which only helps to give you to kind of cement this point. She's talking to one of the great staff over there about scotches, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I won't drink anything under 8 years old, right? And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, you realize there's some fucking amazing stuff at 3 years, 4 years, cask strength, like all these different variations if you were to think in depth about whiskey. And the guy says, well, good for you. That's great. It was the best response ever, man.
That is the best response ever. Because what do you want me to say?
Yeah, he was so polite and like so accommodating. And she just has just total rubbish for brains if she thinks that, like that's.
Where'd you get that number?
Yeah.
You heard someone say that and you adopted it? That's what I think.
Was it a Michael Douglas movie? Was it, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Where do you get this notion that this is the only way that things can be?
Yeah.
You know? I can't
8
imagine.
years, that's my cutoff. What is this, 7.5? Send it back, James. So stupid.
Dude, there are some amazing stuff at 4 years.
Incredible. Bourbons we don't age things. You know, that's sometimes, and, you know, I have my own opinions again, but, you know, sometimes I trip out. People say, like for me, the 10-year bullet.
Yeah.
I'm not into that.
That's all right.
If I'm going to drink bullet bourbon, I prefer your younger stuff. It's better.
Yeah.
So these random numbers, and Scotch, who's been the most kind of hardcore about age dating, they're kind of stopping doing that.
Yeah, because
they were like locked in this prison, right?
They did it to stimulate sales. Then they stimulated sales and generated a shortage. And so now it's like, we keep painted ourselves into a corner here, folks. How do we get past that? You
mind if I get
no, grab some more. Well, actually, it's good transition too. So we are sipping the Pikesville Rye, which is 110 proof. It's from Heaven Hill. And from my understanding, it's basically 6 to 8 year Rittenhouse. And
is that right?
Yeah, and it is just lovely. That spice, but it's so rich.
Rittenhouse, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
This is amazing.
It's
this
great,
is great. It's very incredibly smooth for 110 proof.
It's insane. Yeah. And the funny thing is these bottles came into town. My dealer called me. He's like, "Have you heard of this rye?" And I'm like, I hadn't heard much about it. But it's Heaven Hill. Love Heaven Hill. Give them a chance. You know,
sure.
They do things the right way. So I grabbed a couple bottles of it because he said, "Yeah, there's only like 2-3 cases in Austin or something." But it wasn't expensive. So I was like, "Oh yeah, sure. I'll grab a nice straight rye." And so ever since then, it won top 5 whiskeys of the year, the Jim Murray Whiskey Bible. And so now everybody's like, "Oh, now I've heard about it. I'm just like,
yeah, now you'll never get one again.
Now you get it, never get it again." So
that's such a bummer. So you can't get Elmer T. Lee anywhere anymore.
It's getting better. That one's getting better because it hasn't developed the cult following like the other, obviously Van Winkle stuff.
Sure.
Because if you know Elmer T. Lee, you're already ahead of the game, in my opinion, because it is just kind of just like it's like in the pocket. Like a lot of people don't.
But really I wonder, are they purposefully holding it back or so? Right? Like it.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know the story with that one right now, but I do know that Buffalo Trace has had an immense boom in business, and Buffalo Trace specifically, that label is now in United Airlines.
Oh wow!
Which is amazing for me because that's where I fly, and I love that the Buffalo Trace is on there now, which is fucking killer. So, but like. Let's talk about. I haven't had a chance to try the rye, and damn you for not putting
Yeah,
the
sorry.
sample.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll make sure to get some. I know they had some at Drinkwall. I think I saw Jessica post a picture of a bottle. But what we talked about, kind of why rye was the thing. Why rye, which is a good shirt. Why rye, you know. But did you really find yourself interested in distilling as well and fermenting and all these kinds of things?
Well, that was the thing when I tasted that Hudson was like, understanding all of a sudden, like, wait a minute. So you don't need, especially being a Scotch drinker at the time, where I was kind of, again, a young Scotch drinker, probably a lot like your blonde friend, Austin Wine Merchant, dating things and the 18 year this is a good one for a 10 year. I remember saying stupid shit like that. This is pretty good for being 10 years old. I didn't even know what I was talking about, but seeing this whiskey, like, wow. I didn't even know it was possible. Yeah. You can do this in less than a year. And, I don't think that, was a mind-blowing whiskey. I'll say that. But the fact that, it's kind of like the 4-minute mile, right?
Yeah,
impossible. And then someone does it, and it's like, now we can experiment here.
Yeah.
And that kind of opened it. The idea was like, oh, my God, like, people can do this. Yeah. People can do this, not just these big conglomerate companies.
Dudes can do it.
Dudes can do this.
Yeah, normal guys.
The craft brewing movement was already booming and doing its thing.
Yeah.
And who opens a winery, right? Like,
man,
to do that. Yeah. So it's like, wow, man. I remember there's a really good beer, and it's probably pretty cliche to say now. I don't know, maybe, but in California, Russian River makes Pliny the Elder.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Pliny the Elder. At the time, this is maybe 6-7 years ago or something, was just shockingly amazing.
Yeah.
This beer. It was like, it's kind of like nowadays, I'd say it's very similar to a Lost Gold IPA. It's very, which was harder to find very good IPAs that long ago. Or I won't even say it was hard to find. I don't think people were making them that well at the time. But anyway, and they Pliny the Elder had a chance to be in big packaging stores, but because they couldn't get
they said no, right?
They say if you can't guarantee that you keep this cold, no way we'll do it.
Yeah.
And I just, with my kind of skateboarding and heavy metal background, I'm just like, fuck yeah, I love that. Like these guys make a product that is super good.
Yeah.
It's very obscure. It's hard to get a hold of. They didn't make a lot of it. And when they had the chance to go big, they put their middle finger up. I just thought that is incredible. And I always said to myself, that's what I wish I would have done with my life, is just be able to create one product and do it. And then so when I started realizing that this craft whiskey movement was legitimate, and of course, just because you use a small barrel, that's not the trick, right? Like,
dude.
A lot of people make horrible whiskey in small barrels.
There are lots of people that make horrible whiskey in small barrels,
But it opened up the possibility. And from there, we just kept
scale
looking.
changes. Then you're like, oh, well, I don't have to stock. I don't have to have a rick house that has 4 floors and has thousands of barrels in each floor. I can do this in a more manageable, bite-sized kind of way.
Our place is 1,500 square foot. I don't know how big yours is.
Well, we just expanded it, but yeah, dude, it was like 1,000 square feet, and then we got another 1,000.
It's accessible, and then they changed the cost of permits. All of a sudden, it's like, that's what opened up. As far as I know, I want to say, I don't know, maybe 8-9 years ago.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
So because before, I mean, who was making craft spirits, right?
Nobody,
like maybe Tito and
Paula's. That's probably, I think, about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So just knowing that was a possibility, then
the financial obstacle is lessened, in other words, and so like your cost of entry is finally like, maybe this is feasible now.
Right. You don't have to be a billionaire to make a couple million. And being in advertising, constantly being away from my family, that was really dragging. I knew I needed to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird. It was just one night, just sitting there thinking, like, I just said to my wife, what we should do is we should just make rye whiskey in Austin. Like, why is there no whiskey here in Austin?
Yeah.
And why is there no rye whiskey here in Austin?
Well,
that's crazy.
In quotes, whiskey in Austin, but no one's making whiskey in Austin.
Sure.
I mean, Daniel's out. Trio, now they're doing
but
it.
he was in Austin for a while,
Sure.
But we were so naive at that time, we didn't even know, you know, like we knew about, and we, first thing we did, shot out to Garrison's place, checked them out, checked out Balcones, went out to Kentucky, just started the process. That was the whole story. We really thought, this is funny, what we can do is we can just make it in our garage and go like sell it at the farmer's market.
Godspeed, sir. Godspeed. Before you get locked away for that
being naive can sometimes be the proper motivation. Because if you would have been like, I'm like, what we should do is make rye whiskey, and then someone comes in and goes, well, what you're going to need is X, Y, and I'll be like, you know what?
Right,
I'm good.
Yeah.
But our naivete kept us moving, and by the time we've learned all the big hurdles, we were already knee deep. We just kept going. We believed in the idea, and
too forward or too far down the path to look back. Right?
Can't turn back. Yeah,
exactly.
It's like when there's an old joke about a guy swimming halfway. It's like an old whatever. I'm Irish, so I'll say it was an old Irish joke.
A limerick.
A guy, how dumb are Irish people? A guy tried to swim across the whatever some sea or something, got halfway and got tired and turned back. It's like you're halfway, just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's kind of a sense of optimism too, taking you forward in that. So when did you guys get your permit? What year?
Man, when did we get our permit? I want to say close to a year ago.
Oh, cool.
I guess it was about a year ago. We moved into our space, last October.
Mm-hmm.
No, so it must have been sooner than that because we moved into our space. As you know, you got to get your space, get your permit.
They got to say, yeah, you got a space. Are we okay with the space? Okay. All
yeah.
right. We'll give
and
you
as you know,
now.
being in Travis County, and I remember going, hey, what would I need to do to pass the fire codes here? I don't know. Go build it, and then we'll come check it out. I was like, no thanks. I'm going to Dripping
Yeah,
Springs.
let's do that. Let's mess
that sounds good. Yeah. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
So
it's strange, man. And we'll see what happens with that long term, but so you get the permit. You guys are almost there, a year out now, which is really great. And when did the product officially launch? It was just within the past couple months, right?
October. They picked up their first shipment from us on October 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So so kind of got into this first stores, maybe less than a week later or something. So it's been a little over 2 months, maybe, or something like that.
And it's Kooper Family Rye.
Kooper Family Rye.
And you did the design, I'm sure.
I did. Yeah, I did the
bottle,
label and stuff. Yeah, designed the whole thing. Luckily, I from my career in advertising and branding, I get to bring that over. Which is
it's
nice.
Good. It looks really good.
Thank you.
Because a lot of people, it doesn't look good. So
it's a tough thing, right?
It is.
So many people are like, the amount of things you have to learn and be proficient at to do this business is
TTB
crazy,
online,
right?
Jesus.
All of it.
It's
insane. I haven't on there today to getting some colas registered again.
Yeah. So what's the family of products look like right now? So you've got the
Family Rye.
Just straight
one
rye.
product. Yep.
And it's 100% rye mash bill?
Mashed from 100% rye. It's 80 proof. And we're just about out of batch one.
Cool.
And we've
do you know how many gallons you guys had for batch one?
Going into bottles.
Yeah.
I'd say it was roughly 180 gallons.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So pretty small batches. Our first run was 1,100 bottles, and then we just bottled up batch 2. So, but yeah, one product right now. We're not gonna. We're sticking to rye.
Yeah.
Rye 100%, no matter what.
So straight rye.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll probably. I think it's in the works for us to do a cask strength.
Cool.
It's just a matter of getting some labels printed up and doing some different things. So we'll do that because we did come out at a lower proof. Me typically, I have 2 kids, so when I do get to go out and have some cocktails and some whiskeys, I want as many as freaking possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it's been bunched up. Like you gotta get it out of your system.
I can't drink Bookers all night because I can have 2 and then I gotta go home. I don't want to feel like shit tomorrow.
Right.
So I like the idea of a lower proof so I can enjoy those, get as many of them as I can into me. And then, I think the cask strength will be nice. It really does come out of the barrels. Really, it's nice not to add anything once it comes out. It's spent all that time in there just perfecting
about it, right?
So I'm looking forward to that. We'll also do a rye liqueur probably next year during the holidays.
Yeah.
But just a really simple. We just kind of mix our rye with some maple syrup.
Yeah.
Just bring down the proof a little bit, add some sweetener and some viscosity to it.
For sure.
It's a really nice little liqueur. But it'll all kind of stem right around the rye,
Yeah.
We just
which is good. It seems like the central theme. It seems where your heart is at.
Yeah. And that's what we feel like. If you got to be passionate about it. You got to know why you're doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? And so
what kind of expectations do you have financially?
I don't know. I think, again, the naivete in me says, and it might not be, but we want to stay in Texas.
Yeah.
Like Texas is good enough for us. Like, I don't think we need to spread ourselves too thin going out there. If we can service Texans, we'll be happy. Financially, man, if I could, we could buy ourselves a little, a couple acres.
Yeah.
Get ourselves a nice little cabin and just be around nature a little bit more. That's where
awesome.
It's at for us,
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah.
Have people responded to the rye so far? Since it's so new,
It's doing really good. We feel like, it's one of those things, you as you know quite well, you kind of just keep your fingers crossed. And
dude.
It's hard, no one's going to look at you in the face and be like, this stuff's crap.
Yeah.
So everyone says it's good. Everyone likes it. But really, there are some indicators that it's good. The shipments are coming quicker and quicker and quicker. Yeah. We're doing well in some of the key bars that we kind of targeted as like.
Any that you particularly like to venture out to that are carrying?
Oh, yeah. Like the ones right now, the big ones, the influential ones that we really pushed for Like the Black Heart was the first to carry
Jeremy's
us.
A great dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Proof and Cooper along with that.
Yeah, cool.
He
was one that posted that picture, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the pictures I've seen.
So the Weather Up, the Drinkwell, the Tigress.
Yeah.
The Driscoll.
Very cool.
And 416 is a nice little bar and grill on Burn It
cool.
that makes really nice cocktails.
Yeah, they're really good. Dustin? Is that the same guy?
Dustin, Heavy Metal Dustin.
Yeah,
that's what
I've never met him, but he's like
awesome.
a cool guy. Yeah.
He's just an old metal dude from Austin. He's been in metal bands, and he likes to light fires when he's bartending and stuff. It's a great, go out there if you get a chance.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
Make a lot of nice cocktails out there. So yeah, we tried to, again, it's just my wife and I.
Yeah.
So we don't have, and as you know, you gotta make it, you gotta put it in the bottles, you gotta go sell it, you gotta do the tastings, you gotta do everything.
You gotta do everything social out there. Yeah, it's a lot.
So and the social media. So we tried to instead of just going crazy and just shotgun technique across Austin, we just figured, well, let's go to the bars that we feel are very influential. Another one like the East Side Showroom.
Sure.
Like these places that are constantly churning out either great whiskey or great cocktails.
Yeah. And great talent too. Like all these places.
Absolutely.
Because the industry, how do you feel about, are you what we would say like accepted into the industry yet? Do you feel like you've got building good relationships and everybody's kind of really being communal?
I feel like it sometimes. I yes. But there's also, some head scratchers every once in a while. There definitely seems to be a small contingent of places that maybe, and this is just me in my opinion, but might wish they were in another place other than Texas.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like that Texas is too small for them?
Or it's just like a little too lowbrow. Like I'd rather, this is a place
too good for this place.
Yeah, it's not New York or LA or fucking,
and you know how many people that work here are from New York, that got great skills out there and brought it here and then evolved it.
Absolutely. And are contributing now to this town.
And the national narrative of cocktails and stuff, which is brilliant.
I just heard on the way over here that, officially now Austin is the booziest city in America.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How do you measure that? Do you know? Is it just like...
I think you could literally go check sales records.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's true.
You just check sales records.
And we're really healthy and boozy. That's great. That's why Austin's great.
And it's Austin is like the town of yin and yang, right?
Yeah.
It's like I get to have this city life, but I also want to pop over the Greenbelt and just hike a little bit. And that idea of like, it's great for adults, great for kids, great for nature, great for city. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like this town. There's just nothing like it. I've been lucky enough or unlucky enough to live in some cities, and this is an eye opener. It's kind of like rye whiskey. It's like, my God, I didn't know it can be this good.
And those are those kind of moments, right? The game changers for our lives, and the path's never the same after that.
Well, I mean, you talked about coming from Detroit, right? I mean, how different is it from Detroit?
That was in the 80s too, man. So shit. I think it's more RoboCop post-apocalyptic now than it was then. I think there was still an automotive industry then, so there was some money flowing through.
Yeah.
But since that kind of dissolved, it's been terrible.
I was there recently. I had a day off, so I went to the Motown Studio A.
Cool.
That was like a religious experience.
That's amazing.
I've been to Muscle Shoals. I've been to Memphis. I've done all. I try to go to all the studios and stuff, but there's nothing like Studio A.
I can't imagine.
It's
I've never
mind-blowing.
been. Yeah, I would love to go.
It's a religious experience. They kind of make you sing. They're like, no one comes in here and doesn't sing.
Oh, it's amazing.
They got this hole in the ceiling, so they teach you about like reverb, natural reverb and stuff. They'll be like, sing into the hole, and everyone gets around the tour guide, and she's clapping.
Oh,
you sing like Ain't Too Proud to Beg.
There we go. Yeah.
You sing some Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and but anyway, but right behind there, it looks like Beirut.
It's insane, right?
Just
pummel, just
apartments.
Rubble. Yeah.
I went to a place to eat for lunch. It was just like a simple little like shawarma place or something, and they had a dude, a security guard there. He was like in full tactical SWAT gear.
Wow.
It's an eye opener. Yeah.
It is like RoboCop.
It is like RoboCop.
That's the irony, is they bring a RoboCop statue in, like somehow it's just like an homage to RoboCop. No, it's an homage to the future.
That movie is like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Isn't that crazy? It's I mean, it's a wonderful movie. I love it. But
what I love about Detroit is the music. And I mean, it doesn't get the credit for the music. And maybe it does.
In the 60s and 70s, you mean?
All of it.
Like
I
all
mean,
the Berry Gordy
when
stuff?
you go back from those guys, but the Stooges.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
MC5,
that's right. That's right. Yeah, Wayne Kramer.
And then you talk about...
Isn't Death's not from Detroit, are they? The band Death, they were like...
no, Death was from Detroit.
They are, right? Yeah.
So you got the beginnings of punk rock in Detroit. Because even like, what was MC5 and the Stooges doing? That's kind of punk rock.
They started it, yeah.
So that's all out of Detroit.
Scene. Yeah.
The Motown sound comes out of Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Then you have, of course, Kid Rock, right?
Oh, of course. With you. Have you heard of Proto Martyr?
No.
Those guys are amazing, and they're from Detroit.
With the White Stripes? I mean,
oh, that's right.
That you talk about, music back in the 90s and like what happened. Like, it's like the White Stripes are the last great rock and roll band.
Yeah,
I don't know if there'll ever be another one. The way that the whole music industry works now, and
I mean, I feel like, I think Queens of the Stone Age is still a vestige.
Absolutely.
I love Queens of the Stone Age. I think the Foo Fighters are still a vestige. They've got. I love Dave. I'll always love Dave. The guy's a saint to me musically. Even though some of the records that kind of get weaker, maybe.
But as far as a figurehead, you can't beat that guy, right?
Yeah,
like his philosophies, and he keeps it. He keeps it real. Or
yeah,
whatever.
He does.
But Queens, Queens of Stone Age changed my life. The first album that a lot of people didn't hear, that changed my life, man. I mean,
what is it? It's
called Queens of the Stone Age.
It's still self-titled, right? Yeah.
And her in the first two songs on that. I remember going in a record store and getting the little play. You get the headphones and listen.
Yeah,
I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I just listened to it because of I was a fan of Caius before that, but I didn't know. I didn't know that they had switched over.
Josh was in. Yeah, I had no idea.
But that's a great band. That's a really good band. I got to see them on their first tour.
Oh, really?
In small clubs and stuff.
Oh, wow.
That was mind blowing. I mean, they had that. I forget the guy's name, but playing a lap steel. It was probably a pedal steel. It was loud.
Yeah,
that's amazing rock and roll.
Yeah, so it's still there. It's still out there. But
the thing is like. We don't look for crazy sons of bitches to be our rock stars anymore. Have you ever seen that movie Dig? Or are you familiar with Brian Jonestown Massacre?
Yeah. So I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
That guy Anton, you should check it out. If you anyone who likes music should check that movie out.
Yeah,
it's great. But the lead singer of Brian Jonestown Massacre is he's a fucking lunatic.
He's a lunatic.
He's out of his mind, crazy. And, they fight on stage. They just can't do a thing right.
Did you hear when they stole Stevie Ray's guitar from during South by Southwest? Yeah. They stole it from Hard Rock Cafe, I hear. Yeah.
See what I mean?
Amazing.
If it was the 70s, that guy would be humongous. Sure. That's a rock star, right?
Yeah,
but now we go, that guy's fucking crazy. And we're trying to do business here.
We're trying
and
to sell
dollars.
A lot of units, man.
We can't move units when the guy can't do a show. Where before in the 70s, people wanted our expression, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I feel like where we're headed with this, and why you just can't find those great bands, because even some of the better, more popular mainstream bands that I like, maybe Arctic Monkeys or something.
Yeah.
They may be, and I don't mean to.
It got sterile though.
It's just it's vanilla. There's no edge on any of this stuff, right? Like compared to like John Bonham or Keith Moon, like these guys were animals.
Yeah,
and that's good, right?
Good.
Like we need that.
Yeah, and to bring it back, I think that it's very analogous to whiskey specifically.
I agree, because it just fall in line.
Yeah,
get in line, and this is what, especially now, you talked about auto-tune in our previous conversation, but it's like that. It's like, here's the formula, stick to the fucking formula.
Right.
No, man.
But how do things get changed if you stick to the formula? Like DJ Shadow, I was just reading something about DJ Shadow today, and he posted this. He said, the people that were at the helms of the record industry said that I never belonged. And he said, that's why I'm still here. And I was like, it's perfect.
Genius.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
And there's those people that can catch that grassroots.
Yeah.
Right? That's undeniable.
Right.
And that's the thing. And what but it's hard. It's hard. How do you get out there? DJ Shadow played his ass off. He went out and played live and just made it happen.
He was obsessed with the details, and he's got just like an academic memory of music.
And he lived in Davis. I don't know if you've ever been there, but there ain't nothing there to do. So he had plenty of time on his hands. But, yeah.
It's time, right? That's the thing, is that it's kind of up to you. It's kind of up to me to change the narrative and subvert the boring established industry. Well, there's always going to be great products like Diageo puts out and be
absolutely,
but that doesn't mean that we can't change it.
That's right. And like for me, rye whiskey. Why in the world don't we push? Just take the hardest right turn, just an immediate right turn towards make it taste as much like rye as possible. Just forget. If there's already bottles that taste like XYZ on the shelves, stop making XYZ.
Yeah.
They're already there. And that's like music.
Yeah.
Music or any other subjective thing. It doesn't matter if you are second or third. It matters if you're first, right? Do it first. But to go back a little bit, we talked about, you brought up Dave Grohl, but I love his quote on, I think it was him who quoted on American Idol.
Oh, yeah.
These people say they just want to make music. You don't want to fucking make music. You want to be famous.
Yeah.
So if you want to make music, you'd be in your bedroom right now, picking out a guitar or a violin or making music,
driving around, playing shows at all costs.
And that's why DJ Shadow was able to buck that trend, because he wanted to make music, and he did, right? Versus these people that just want a record deal, or that's the thing, man. I mean, when I played in bands and toured around and stuff, that was the reward. You know what I mean?
Well, it's no surprise that when you look at a lot of the new labels of whiskey coming out of Texas, it's just simply the cash grab. And I think that you guys, I can tell it's coming from the right place.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And I can't wait to taste it. And it's going to be real soon. Probably this week I'll get around to tasting it.
I'm a jackass for not bringing it.
It's sorry. It's fine, man. I think everybody's going to be really excited to hear about you and to hear about the rye. And I think we'll all be anticipating some other stuff from you too. So that cast strength's something to look forward to.
Yeah, totally.
So
cool.
But thanks for chatting with me, Troy. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Absolutely.
Thanks for the Pikesville delicious straight rye.
Amazing. My pleasure. Well, there we have it, everybody. Troy Kooper from Kooper Family Rye. I've got to tell you that going into some of these interviews, these conversations, I never know what to expect. I never know what kinds of things we're going to talk about. We started off talking about World War II and Russia and bullets. And then we ended up talking about Brian Jonestown Massacre. These are things I haven't talked about for years, but it was amazing in a sense, like catching up with Troy. Like we'd known each other for a really long time. So I'm excited what he's doing out there in Dripping Springs with the Kooper Family Rye. And I can definitely tell you that it's a wonderful rye. And it's got exactly the pop that you want, neat for a spirit or in a cocktail. Either way. But I can't wait for that cask strength rye, and I hope I can see more stuff coming out of Dripping Springs and more stuff coming out of the Kooper family. So thanks again, everybody. We're close to Christmas. We've got Christmas here at the end of the week, and I think this episode will find you just after you've received all your lovely gifts. So please enjoy the time with your family, stay safe, and keep dancing.